Next up is something very interesting. Who do you think owns a lot or who knows a lot about you or what you do on the internet? Not talking specific to a, I'm not talking specific to a device. I'm not saying mobile phone, no. Search engines, Obama knows better, some guy says, all right. Search engines, any other answers? Fine, okay, let me give you a hint. Where are you accessing Google? Browser, right? The browser is the guy who knows almost everything, wherever you're going, whatever you're doing, and if they have to mine that, it's going to be an ample lot of data, right? With that as the background, next is an interesting person coming all the way from Opera browser, Pancham Endlaw. Can I have you on stage, sir? Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, Pancham Endlaw from Opera.
Thank you so much. We've had some very intense sessions, lots of things being talked about in the entire app space. How do we create the app? What happens after that? How do we actually kind of get people? How do we get users? How do we monetize? Whole lot of questions being thrown about. It's actually great that a lot of these earlier sessions have thrown up these questions. Some of them have been answered. I'll try to answer some of those separately, and through my session. And I hope if there's any questions, obviously we can take them offline later. Yeah. Before we start off, a little disclaimer. We are a vested interest in the app space. We have a mobile store. It is the largest independent store. It is also the white label store for a lot of OEMs, without going into names. The leading ones use our app store as a white label store for distribution of their apps. We are the largest catalog. We have over 25 million plus downloads every month. We have some very nice numbers out there in terms of statistics of what we deliver across globally. And this is what Opera Mediaworks is, which is what we are. We are an advertising and a marketing and a distribution platform. Other than the pure browser, we are also in the business of monetizing for all our publishers, and we have nearly 16,000 of them out here. We control 17% of all mobile advertising globally. And our reach is somewhere in the region of about 47% in Asia. In India, it's more or less in the same region. This is not just the Opera Mini browser, it's also the whole lot of other apps. So Opera Mini for us is another app, or Opera in its various avatars is just another app out of the 16,000 that we bring to the table. There is a whole lot of it which can go, and I can kind of share those numbers and details with you offline. Right, and this is just the last of the disclaimer slides. This is what we bring to India. We've had a lot of cases of things being done on a global level, but if you look at the reach that all app developers require, desire, a lot of it is in India. And essentially you need some numbers out there, and this is what we bring to the table. This is where we are. So much so about the Gyan slides. Let's start with the life cycle of an app. How does an app begin? I saw a show of hands of the number of developers here. Can you just kind of raise your hand? How many people are involved in app development? Okay. How many people are planning to have an app? Beautiful, that's a good percentage of the overall number. So let's look at some of the stages that an app, when it starts off, and then when it develops, what is the kind of life cycle? This is really roughly where it is. You think of an app, you conceive of an app, so that's like a child being born, and then obviously there is development, there's testing. This is like the birth of an app, right? And then obviously you think about, okay, it needs to be distributed, I need to kind of get users to it, so it is like the brahmacharya stage of the app, right? Where you are actually kind of in the first few in the growth phase. Then obviously you get into the larger issues of users. Okay, I've got users, what do? How do I retain them? We discussed some of this stuff. We start worrying about monetization. You start looking at all of these issues. This is the so-called the Grastha Ashram stage of the app. And then obviously, kind of there is the Vanprastha stage that I don't want to talk about at least at this forum right now. Yeah. But the idea is this is a continuously evolving cycle. You will kind of reach a sunset wherein that version of the app will become irrelevant or it will start fading away. You start thinking of how you will kind of restart the cycle and actually keep that chakra of the app life cycle going, so that's where we are. And when you think of all of this, as app developers, you need to start thinking of what of this am I going to do myself? And what of this will actually be, I should kind of hire agencies, I should look at people, partners, who will kind of grow this business for me. Because at the end of the day, you can't be doing everything yourself, and you would need partners to kind of drive that part of the business for you. And so this is where it is, really. What do I do in-house? What do I outsource? When I actually did a dipstick, we have been actually doing a lot of market studies. We have a whole lot of apps that we kind of monetize and distribute and develop, and we are integral part of the entire incubation cycle for a whole lot of stuff. We find that mostly these are the two areas, which is distribution and monetization, which is where partnerships are needed. So that's where we are, and that is where we could kind of help. And it's not just about us. Any app developer should be looking at these as a partnership mode, rather than actually trying to do that in-house, because at the end of the day, you have your own piece of the entire product and the concept and the development work, which keeps on going on a rolling basis. So this is where we are, that's what we bring to the table. So I'm going to just focus a little bit on these two aspects, which is the distribution. How do I get the users? How does the app get distributed? Should it be native? What all stores should it be? Should it be on Android, iOS, Microsoft, the whole 9 yards? Which app store should I use? Should I use the native stores? Should I use the generic stores? Who will distribute my app? What mode will it be? Will it be a CPI, CPD? Milind talked about this some time back. There's a whole lot of parameters which are there. Which tracking tool do I use? What kind of ROIs do I require? What is the kind of acquisition ROI? What is the retention ROI? Whole lot of questions. We work with a whole lot of people around these questions, and I'm going to come back to them. Then obviously there's the other part is monetization. At the end, it's all about, not about love and fresh air, it's about money. Your apps need to make money, but then somebody asked this question, when do we start making that money? Now, later? Well, how will we actually do it? Should it be a paid app? Should it be a free app? Upfront money or in-app? Whose SDK should we use to monetize? How many SDKs can we take in, All these questions keep coming, and they are constantly in the mind. But then understand this. Every time you start thinking of this, you will actually keep going back to your distribution strategy. So, I mean, I'd shift back to my previous slide, because really your ROIs are also here. And you need to look at these ROIs in terms of distribution. What is my distribution cost? What is my retention cost? Am I making enough money from my advertising and my monetization piece to actually cover these ROIs? Or is that exactly what we have in mind? We need to look at the entire paradigm. So in that sense of the word, actually, while I was here and I was looking at these sessions, I decided to add a few more slides from a presentation which I had done earlier, which is really about the 10 cardinal rules while working in the app space. This is how you should be looking at all apps. Whether you have an existing app, or you are planning an app, or you have an app which is already established, you are working on an app which is still in the nascent stages. Really, these are the standard cardinal rules which have stood the test of time. They have been kind of validated time and again by our various partners, and we have quite a few of them. And we kind of run these, and really that's where we're coming to. Rule number 0, conventions do not apply. And this is, trust me on this, if you think that this is an idea which I have, but it is not fitting into convention, so I junk it, no. Hold that thought, you will need it. And that's what I'm saying. When I say 1 is greater than 10, and that's true, trust me on this. Every rupee, every hour that you spend on actually developing an app is so much better than the 10 hours or 10 rupees that you spend working on an alternate idea. Apps are here to stay. Globally, when we look at time spent, and we actually have all that data from US, emerging markets, developed markets, 80% of all usage comes from apps. 20% is only from browsers. In the Asian region, that number is more skewed towards the browsing, primarily because apps as a phenomena is still not that evolved. But then, still it is a great number. Having said that, apps per se, an investment in an app definitely makes more sense with whatever the idea you might have, right? So that's the case. Rule number 1, if you breathe, and you will, all of us breathe, right? We are all mobile. Eventually, you will have some apps. You can look at any genre. There are a whole host of genres out there. Whatever idea you have, go ahead and develop it. Get it to a point where it actually starts making sense. You will see a market. How many people, if I give you an idea, there is an app idea, and I will not name the app, which was targeted at school children in California from the age group of 14 to 17. What would be that? Do you think it is a viable app? Anybody? Sir, I beg to differ. That app is actually called Snapchat, and it is one of the fastest growing chat apps. So that's what I'm trying to say. If you have an idea, and you start actually figuring out really what it is, you will find a market. We will help find that market for you. And that's a promise that we bring to the table. That's one. Second, figure out what your objectives are, what the exact point, one-line mission statement of your app is. If you can actually crack this, you've cracked most of it. Okay? Everything else, tactics, strategy, everything else will come later. Get that one-line objective sorted out for your app. This also applies for apps which are already existing. We need to keep looking at our apps again and again, trying to figure out, are they relevant today? Will they be relevant tomorrow? You need to keep looking at the entire piece again and again. Keep it relevant, because very soon, very fast, you will become redundant. A lot of people till about 1.5 years back thought, oh, we definitely need a Java app. We need something for Symbian. How many people are even looking at a Symbian app today? That's why I'm saying, keep evaluating, keep thinking of what you have in the strain. Get your objectives sorted out first, everything else will come later. If you have your one-line objective sorted out, you know exactly what you're doing, right? And from that comes the rule number 3, get a relationship first. Any app which is successful has a connect with the user. We get up in the morning, and I pick up, my phone is always at my arm's length. I will pick it up, check out what are the WhatsApp messages, even before I check my email in the night. And I am a US-based company, which works when I'm sleeping. Even before I check my email, I will actually check my WhatsApp. I have that relationship with the app. If you have that relationship, it'll basically get you the right connect with the audience, and that's what it is. So it's about love and fresh air in that sense of the word. But I'm going to just contradict myself in the next slide. When I say money is a close second, you need to start worrying about how those relationships will eventually translate into money. And that is the crux of the entire app business. If you're saying, I'm going to work on something and we'll figure out how to monetize it later. I don't know how many people will back you. You need to have a plan out there and you need to have a solid plan, and that's what I'm saying. Determine the metrics and the timelines when you will implement those metrics for your app. This also includes existing apps. There are a whole host of people here who I know have existing apps. Some of them are in the consumer space, some of them are in the enterprise space. You need to determine goals, you need to determine deadlines, metrics, timelines, and these should be tangible timelines that you will deliver. Otherwise, the app will always be in a sunset or a one-prust stage. They will always be headed towards a decay, right? Cool. Number 5, use cliches. They always work. I keep going back to this thing in 2008. I cannot find a better example of a cliche. It works, and that's why it's called as a cliche, right? So if you think, oh, this is something that everybody has done, it is so run-of-the-mill, please, there is always value. Use the cliches because that's what they stand for. They stand for an immediate connect. If you use a cliche, half of what you want to communicate is already communicated. And that actually brings you the connect, which nobody else can get you, right? That's where we are. Cannot emphasize this anymore. The UI and the integration piece is absolutely hypercritical. This can make or break your app. I mean, I cannot even start to tell you how important this is. You might have a great app, but if it does not have a good user experience or a user interface, it might as well not be there, you know. That's where we are. A derivative of this is keep it absolutely simple. This always works, has always delivered, and done beautifully. Then we need to obviously look at coverage. Go from A to Z, look at Symbian, Java, but don't forget the AIM, which is Android, iOS, and the Microsoft market. That is where the trend is right now. Yeah. You need to get traction with the TG. This comes from the immediate first connect, right? Get a good distribution partner in place. This is very, very important. This is going back to the previous slides. I'm asking those questions again. And lastly, get a good monetization partner in place. While distribution is important, monetization is equally important. Get all of these in place. Find out who that person is, which company it is, what are the parametrics, and actually go ahead and do that. I just want to run you through some innovations. This is the actual deck which I had made. I just added those slides when I was going through these sessions in the morning. This is what's been happening. These are the kind of innovations that apps have been wanting now. This is stuff which is already happening right now, right? Which is basically motion, etc. Then obviously we are looking at some degree of handheld innovations which the handset actually lets you do. So I'm going to just run through a small video. Are we able to hear any audio? No. It's mostly self-explanatory, there's just music. But the idea is essentially look at how innovation can actually drive your apps. And that is what a lot of semi-retail kind of guys are beginning to do. This is all existing stuff that we have delivered in US, in UK, and a few other key markets. This technology exists today even in India. We can deliver it here. So, right? And this is the monetization that everybody is looking for, right? I'm really running out of time. I can display a whole lot of other stuff, but let me just do a quick wrap up. I urge all of you to keep re-looking at your app. What is the proposition? What is it that you bring to the table? What is that one-line mission statement of that app? How is it going to actually work? Evaluate all the technologies which are available. What's up? Is it about Ajax? Is it about video? What is it? Look at your own app. Do a deep dive from a third-person perspective. See how it goes. Look for a distribution and a monetization partner who are robust, who can actually carry you and deliver the numbers for you, both on the installs as well as on money part. Ultimately, these are the two metrics on which your success or failure of your app will be there, right? The other global trends is there is a rejection of poor quality ad units in favor of lesser but more engaging units on the richer side, right? And obviously there's rich media, which I wanted to show, but I'm sincerely out of time. But I'm happy to display as much of it offline to you as well. And lastly, smart ads is really the way you will have to figure out what the meaning of the word smart is for your apps. But really, I urge you to, instead of bombarding your user with multiple messages, to use that messaging opportunity smartly within your apps and take it from there. That's it from me. Thank you for the time. If there's anything, obviously my mail is there. You could reach out to me. More than happy to answer any questions.
Thanks, Pancham. Ladies and gentlemen, Pancham Endlaw from Opera. Please give a big round of applause.